Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Mahadeve Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Vishatani.
Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pacharine, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Let's all say Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Vishatani. Jai. Welcome to our seminar, and yes, Devaki Mataji, I did forget to email you my bio. So why don't I introduce you?
No problem. The introduction will be tomorrow morning.
The introduction
of all the VIPs will be tomorrow. I didn't need it for now. For tomorrow morning.
But here we are. We're already starting.
No, you just start with your seminar, please. We've heard you already this morning.
All right. The VIPs, the very important Prabhus. That's Mahaprabhu. Okay, so welcome to our seminar. My name is Suresvara, and people say, why are you doing this? And I say, that's a good question. Who am I to do this kind of seminar? Well,
I used to teach at the Mayapur Institute, and I noticed that my students were so disconnected from Prabhupada. Wow! Just because they never saw him, you know. So I thought, this means every generation's going to get farther and farther and farther, you know. Pretty soon, no more Hare Krishna movement. Because Prabhupada will be some kind of, you know, figurehead in the distant past. Like we have George Washington. Who do you have in Sweden?
Gustav Vasa. Gustav Vasa.
Gustav
Vasa.
Vasa. Did I do that pretty good? Madhavi taught me how to say, what is it? Gud, visin, välsignade. You know what I mean? Okay. We'll see how she does. Yeah, so I thought, wow, I got to do something. I mean, pretty soon no more Hare Krishna movement, you know. I mean, the founder Acharya, as you'll be hearing, is the life and soul. His life, his teachings, his mood, his mission are the life and soul of all generations of devotees. He's not just a previous Acharya. So here we are. So I made a seminar, and I joined, and then I bumped into devotees who were on a Prabhupada position committee. I never heard of this. You know. Oh, who are you? Oh, we're the Prabhupada position committee. What are you doing? Oh, not much, Prabhu. I want to do a seminar. Please do it. Now, to be fair, they were working on a lot of stuff, and so in 2014 they came out with a book. It's called Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya, and it's all about his position, and it's pretty good. You know, it's Ravindra Sarup Prabhu, he was the chief writer, so he was working on it for years, and you know, we were putting him through his paces, coming up with drafts, and but it is academic discourse, so it's not easy to read. Is it in Swedish? Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, but it's not like reading a novel, you know, it's a little dense, you know, and it's great stuff. So when I do the seminar, it's kind of illumines what maybe you could understand in the book. So here we go. So there is the title and the, oh boy, there's Pray for Clouds. Yeah, it's kind of washed out. Anyway, there's the title. Srila Prabhupada. Notice our founder Acharya. Prabhupada isn't just the Diksha. He never introduced himself as the Diksha Guru of 4,800 ex-hippies. He never, that's, you know, who are you? My name is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and I'm the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So we all share that core identity of being his instructed followers. If we're following his teachings, we're all of the same family. Different generations, sure, different, you know, God families, and, you know, but foundationally, in a core way, we all share the same identity. So, you know, when people introduce someone as a Prabhupada disciple, you know, that endangered species, they're dropping like flies, folks. So, you know, take care of them so we last longer. No, you know, all generations share the same identity. Prabhupada and Lucas, Prabhupada followers. So my identity is not that I'm Prabhupada's initiated disciple. That's not my identity. My identity is that I'm his instructed follower. And we all share that same core. And that's the kind of shared common identity that will allow ISKCON to go on, you know, for generations, centuries. We hear millennia. And we're going to see this in lesson 3. So we need to really get that, and to get that we need to be really absorbed in our founder Acharya's life, his teachings, his mood, and his mission. And that's what will let it allow ISKCON to go on. Otherwise, it'll just be another, you know, shooting star. Had a great opportunity, and Prabhupada really wanted us to continue, sustain. Okay, so here's the subtitle. celebrating Srila Prabhupada's unique transcendental position, as well as in ISKCON, as well as every follower's foundational relationship with him. So it's as much about his followers as it is about Prabhupada, because there's no meaning to Prabhupada without the followers, just like there's no meaning to Krishna without his energies. Jai Shri Shri Panchatattva. So the first few slides are like an overview of the whole series, which unfortunately I don't have time to do here because, you know, it's a 10-lesson series and I'm only going to have a chance to do 5, but we'll have a pretty good dose. So here it is. So I follow the Vedantic scheme, Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana. In our case, it means deepening our Sambandha means deepening our relationship with Srila Prabhupada. And today we're going to do this. How Prabhupada presented Guru Tattva, basically, in a brief way, in the first chapter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is called, interestingly, the Spiritual Masters, plural. And tomorrow we're going to look at how a special kind of spiritual master, a rare spiritual master, how that principle, the Founderacharya principle, emerged in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Can you see from there? Yeah? Because sometimes I'm going to be like this. Yeah, it's a history. Actually, lessons 2 through 7 in this series, 2 through 6, they're history lessons. But they're not dry history, don't worry. It's not like who killed whom and it's not war. History of Kali Yuga means a history of wars, basically. The landmarks of Kali Yuga history. And then finally, lesson 3, which will be Wednesday morning, we're going to look at how our Founderacharya fulfilled that role like no one ever has, to the best of our knowledge. Of course, by the mercy of the previous acharyas. That's Sambandha. And then we will have time to do the first lesson of the next section, Abhideya, which in our case means deepening our commitment to Srila Prabhupada's mission. We're going to do this, his mission's roots, from the moment Prabhupada met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta until the moment he stepped on the Jaladuta. Very juicy lesson. And we won't have time to do all these. But I'm going to give notes to, I guess maybe Janeshwar. You live here, right? Okay. And you can read all the notes to all the lessons, and then at the end there's a link you can see the whole seminar online. Distance learning site called esanga.org. So we won't do all of these, but Devaki Mataji is lobbying to do this one on Friday. I don't know, it's really long. We're never going to fit it into an hour and a half. Forget that. So I'm more inclined to do this one. Although this is a lot of fun, fictional Prabhupads. Make-believe Prabhupads. It's basically impersonal and sentimental misconceptions which we may be harboring about Prabhupada, and we just identify the misconceptions and then we dispel them. It's like an exorcism. We identify demons and we cast out demons. So it's a different kind of lesson. But I think we really need to do this, how we can access our personal, foundational relationship with our Founderacharya so we can be really sustained and nourished and understand why our Shiksha and Diksha gurus say and do what they do. Because if they're doing their job, they're enriching, enhancing, and deepening our relationship with our Founderacharya, Srila Prabhupada. That's what they do. Okay, Prayojana. So that's kind of the scope and sequence of the seminar. I use this photo because this is the photo that really brought me in. Wow, that's a bona fide spiritual master. And this was on the cover of Back to Godhead after Prabhupada disappeared. The He Lives Forever issue. Okay. Everybody okay? Yeah. Maybe tomorrow we'll put the chairs up closer or something. Good job. This is good. Get the sun away. Any questions about where we're going with this? Okay. Pretty simple, huh? Okay, the spiritual masters. So there's Kaviraj Goswami. He says his hand is shaking and he's going blind, and, but he knows that his spiritual master will help him do this impossible task. He's in his 90s, right? He's writing the definitive biography of Lord Chaitanya. Okay, so anybody know the very first verse of the CC? I took the title of the lesson from the first two words of the first verse. Vande Gurun. Gurun, it's plural. Isha Bhakta, Isha Misha Bhakta. So Kaviraj Goswami, he's offering his respectful obeisances unto Prabhu. Why don't you read? Oh, we're going to do. Why don't you just take that? That mic, cordless mic. Who wants to be the mic runner? Why don't you sit right here?
I have to go after.
You gotta go. Wow. You gotta go. Sukaki. Jai. Wow, fancy meeting us here. All right. Whoops. I'm being shot. Okay, so Prabhu, why don't you just read that?
I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual masters.
Yeah, that's just the first two words. Bande Gurun. And Prabhupada comments, not in the purport, but just before the first verse, he says at the end of the introduction, he says, Kaviraj Goswami uses the plural here to indicate the disciplic succession. He offers obeisances not to his spiritual master alone, but to the whole parampara, the chain of disciplic succession beginning with Lord Krishna himself. Who knows who the initiating guru of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was? Everybody wants to say Rupa Raghunath, right? But that's not the one. You okay? We got a chair.
It's right.
It's over there. For elderly knees. Oops. Anybody know who Kaviraj Goswami's Diksha Guru is? There's different opinions about it, but it's pretty clear from this chapter who he is. And he's a very exalted personality. He's not even a jiva soul. It's a big hint. Yes, who said that? Oh. Okay, very good. He's on the altar. And yet, Kaviraj Goswami, even though his initiating spiritual master is God himself of the category of Godhead, he doesn't just glorify him. He says, Bande Gurun. Yeah, and then Prabhupada does elaborate. He offers to the whole parampara. Because going back to Godhead, as we shall see, is a plural enterprise. When I was doing the basic research for this seminar, the first research, it never ends, but when I was, it was 2011, it was spring, and the late great Gopi Puranadana Prabhu was still with us. He didn't leave till September. So I was asking him a lot of questions. Everybody know who Gopi Puranadana Prabhu? Oh, okay. He was our premier Sanskrit Bengali scholar in ISKCON. He gave us Brihad Bhagavatamrita. I think they're still coming out in books by him. Sundar, did he? Anyway, that was the main thing he did before he left. So, yeah, it's great. Not only a great scholar, but he was so faithful to Prabhupada's life teachings, mood, and mission. That's why we like to hear his renditions. So I said, Gopi Prabhu, who's the deliverer here? I'm getting all this material. I don't know what to do with it. And is it the Diksha Guru? Is it the prominent Shiksha Guru? Is it the founder of Acharya? I mean, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita Aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha yishyami. I will deliver you from all sensory reactions. Who's the deliverer? So, in his patient way, Gopi Pradhana Prabhu said, well, Suresvara Prabhu, I'm on a train in China, and I don't have all my references handy at the moment, but I know from studying Srila Jiva Goswami's Sandarbhas that I could not pin Sri Jiva down to one deliverer. Confirmed. By Skype. Sri Skype. Because Sampradaya Vihinaye Mantraste Nishpalamata. It says in the Padma Purana that unless we're connected with a bona fide Sampradaya. What's going on? Is that you?
No, that's your Skype.
That's my Skype. Oh, I'm online. My God, how do I get offline? That's good to be. You get all these weird requests on Skype, usually from prostitutes. I'm always being propositioned by prostitutes online. It's crazy. It's Kali Yuga. Let's get out. Let's get offline. Oh, can I do it by just turning my Wi-Fi off?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so, yeah, unless we're connected with a... Sampradaya means community. It's a community of gurus. Yeah, we're in the Gaudiya, we're in the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Vaishnava Sampradaya. So unless we receive even the Hare Krishna mantra in Sampradaya, from someone in Sampradaya, we don't get the real flow. What is it? Sampradaya Vihinaye. Mantraste nishphala. We don't get the real thing if we don't hear it from someone in Sampradaya, because it becomes like milk touched by the lips of a serpent. Yeah. So Kaviraj Goswami is offering obeisances to, not just to his guru, but to the whole parampara. So let's look at what is a guru. Srila Prabhupada, New Vrindavan. I was right there. I was sitting right about there. 1972, Bhagavad Dharma Discourse. New Vrindavan, Prabhupada, the movement was 6 years old, and all these American journalists and scholars and politicians were wondering, who are these people? They're not going away. They've been dancing on our street corners now for 6 years, and I guess we got to come to terms with these people. So Prabhupada said, we'll invite them to New Vrindavan and we'll tell them. So about 1,000 devotees and guests came, including the New York Times and Mother Earth News and, politicians, the local Congress people, and the evening news was there. So Prabhupada gave a beautiful talk, which you can hear if you go to YouTube and type in 1972 New Vrindavan Vyas Puja address, and you'll hear Srila Prabhupada giving the whole Vyasa. It's Vyasa Puja day. There was 10 days of Bhagavad Dharma discourses, and in the middle was Janmashtami and Vyasa Puja. And so he's saying, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. Of course, those who are my students, they know what is this Vyasa Puja, but those who are not my students, you may misunderstand. And of course, they were wondering, why is this old guy sitting on this big throne? Right? The New York Times, all these journalists and scholars and politicians. Who does he think he is? So Prabhupada spends the whole talk just talking to these people, the VIPs who were there, about how the guru is like, Prabhupada said, Post Piya, the mailman, postman, right? He just delivers the letter. He may be imperfect in so many ways, but if he just delivers a letter intact, he's a bona fide postman. Still working. And then he brought it down even further. He said, actually the spiritual master is the dog of God. Because he's really trying to, win them over. He doesn't think he's God Almighty. He's the dog of God. And so it's very hard to approach even a big man in this world, what to speak of God. And Prabhupada always said in America, just like if you want to see Mr. Ford or Mr. Rockefeller, you can't just, see them easily because they have so many secretaries and bodyguards. So, but if you happen to see Mr. Ford in the park walking his dog, then very easy. And if you go up to Mr. Ford's dog and you give him, Prabhupada said, 2-cent lozenge, a 2-cent lozenge, a little candy, then very easily Mr. Ford is going to think, oh, you're so nice because you love my dog. If you love me, you must love me because you love my dog, because dog is man's best friend, right? In Kali Yuga. They have that in Sweden too. Oh my God, it's everywhere. So I'm the dog of God. It's very difficult to approach Krishna, but it's very easy to please me. And so somebody sitting right about there said, how can we please you, Srila Prabhupada? Sham Hare Krishna. And then big booming, mridanga start, and Prabhupada takes that as his cue. That was the end of the talk. And he got off the seat, he bowed down in front of Sri Sri Radha Damodar were there, and Jagannath deities were there. And then he slipped behind where the green is, and he got into a little Volkswagen, and he drove away. And we're having a big kirtan. And the, the scholars, journalists, politicians, they really liked the talk. But then we gave the purport. You know what the purport was? We had been fasting for Vyasa Puja, and in front of the deities on the stage, the big long stage, it was probably from that pillar to that pillar. Yeah, and then Prabhupada was over there. There was this giant cake. Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja cake. So the kirtan ends, and what do? We just charge the cake. And the evening news is still, I'm sure they didn't know what to make of it. They just heard the guru, the Hare Krishna guru, give the big talk, and they loved it, and now we're giving the purport. Charge the cake. So I remember swiping a corner of the cake where all the icing had gooed up, so I started running, and then brahmacharis were running after me, and then they tackled me, and we rolled down the hill, and then I was on the bottom, and then the cake was on the bottom of me. So the ants ate the cake. This scenario was going on all over the hillside. So I don't know what those politicians, scholars, and journalists thought. But Prabhupada understood us, because back at the cabin where he was, Prabhupada says to his servant Nanda Kumar, so there's some cake. Oh, I'll go back to the pavilion, Prabhupada, and then Srila Prabhupada, and get some cake. So he goes, and it's about a half hour later by now. Not a smudge or crumb of cake left. Uh-oh. So Nanda Kumar drives back to the cabin in Madhuban and runs in. Srila Prabhupada, the devotees ate your cake. That's all right. Make another one. Prabhupada understood us. He understood that we were a little out of control. Very patient and tolerant. All right. I just had to tell that once. It's probably the only... Yeah. Okay. How long do we have? 1:45? This is a shorter lesson, luckily. Okay, so when you hear the word guru in the media, in America, I don't know about Sweden, but they really profanized and secularized the word guru. So when you hear the word guru in the media, how are they using it usually? I just heard another one in here. Do you know anybody? Raise your hand. Don't think of anything spiritual.
Yeah, IT guru.
Yeah, an expert. Read that. Read it.
A person who has knowledge or expertise. Expert, e.g. a sports guru.
Yeah, we have our relationship gurus, our political gurus, our style gurus. I went to the post office and the lady said, just a minute, Mr. Hall, this transaction's a little complicated. I'm going to have to call my postal guru at the main office. Yeah. This is how it's passed into the language. can call you just some kind of expert. And then a step up from that, 11th canto, the Avanti Brahmana tells Maharaja Yati has so many gurus in, what kind of gurus is he talking about? Have you read the 11th canto?
Nature.
That's it, read that.
Naturally, a teacher in nature, e.g., a tree teaches tolerance.
Yeah, and we can even learn, that's part of the Shikshastra, right? Tarora, peace, Adishna. We can even learn obedience from a faithful dog. We can take gold from a filthy place. Right, and then literally, what does the word guru mean? Anybody?
Heavy.
Heavy! I can't do that, I'm kind of like ectomorphic. Read that, Manaji.
Literally, one who is heavy with knowledge.
Yeah, when Prabhupada started the movement in San Francisco, 2 doors down from the storefront temple were the Hells Angels. They were our neighbors. So the Hells Angels liked us. You know why? Because the head Hells Angel in that chapter of the Hells Angels, his name was Sonny Barger. Big 6'8", chains, dreadlocks, biker. And so I don't know how, he must have heard Prabhupada talk, because he would tell the devotees, your guru's heavy, man. He's heavy. They used to be they used to be the devotees' bodyguards during Rath Yatra parades, and they liked to do it, because we fed the Hells Angels, so they liked us, and they respected Prabhupada. Your guru's heavy. And now we're going to hear Prabhupada give the perfect definition of guru. This is one of his favorite references to define the guru. Are we ready for the audio? Yeah?
Standard knowledge is received from the parampara system, disciplic succession. Therefore, it is said, Srotriyam. Srotriyam means who has heard from the parampara system. Srotriyam, and the result is Brahmanishtam. He is firmly fixed up in the service of the Supreme Personality of God.
Yes. Yeah, that's Mandaka Upanishad. Yeah. 1-2-12. Even if we know what a guru is, do we know why we need a guru? Why do we need a guru? There's Arjuna. So if Arjuna is speaking in that picture, anybody cite a Gita verse to match Arjuna's what he's saying there? Why do we need a guru? Raise your hand. Karpanya dosho pahatat svabhavam krichchami tvam dharma sambhuva. You're not joining me. Now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition I am asking you to tell me clearly, what is best for me? Now I am your disciple, and the soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Krishna says to Arjuna at that point, oh, I can't be your guru, I'm your friend. Go see Vyas or somebody else. No, must only you. Now the first 2 lines of the purport, why don't you read that? This is why we need a guru.
By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life.
Yeah, this world is designed to confuse us. It's, we've come here to enjoy, right? But we can't. We're trying. We're really trying hard. But it doesn't work. Yeah. As soon as we enjoy a little bit, and then it's taken away. And then, but I want it again. So we're chasing this fantasy of everlasting enjoyment, which never happens. Prabhupada once defined a material desire as a desire you can never fulfill. Wow. Heavy. Okay, so we need a guru. I mean, we need to tie our shoes. We need our mothers to show us how to tie our shoes. You know, Guru Ma, that's the first guru from whom we learn our mother tongue, teaching us the language. And yet, you know, when it comes to the absolute truth in Kali Yuga, very often we think, oh, I can just do it myself. I'll find some way myself. It doesn't work like that. Once we understand why we need a guru, it is important we connect with the genuine guru to whom we can surrender. In one sense, of course, all genuine gurus are one and the same. Let's look at how all gurus are one. So, can anybody tell us, just in what sense are all gurus one? We have a cushion for you, young lady. Right here. Or you can stay there. Yes.
They are all representatives of Chaitanya.
Okay, they're all representative Chaitya Guru, and more specifically, how does that manifest? How do you know that they're representing Chaitya Guru? Because all genuine gurus... Okay, you read it.
The guru is one because...
Into the mic.
It doesn't work.
Oh.
No, it works. The guru is one because he comes in the cyclic succession. What Vyasadeva and Krishna taught 5,000 years ago is also being taught now. There is no difference between the two instructions. Although hundreds and thousands of acharyas have come and gone, the message is one.
Yeah, that's how gurus are one. Their message is one. It's Krishna's message. Krishna's the guru. He's actually the guru, but he's manifesting in so many forms, internally and externally. And, okay, although one in message with Krishna, all true gurus also differ. How do they differ? How is the guru different? Hey, you look like you like to run?
Me.
Yeah. Why don't we give you the mic? And then we're going to have you hand the mic off to different readers to give my voice a rest. But maybe since you're holding the mic, young lady, you can tell us, do you know how gurus differ? Just think of something obvious. They like different Mahaprasada, right?
They have different personalities.
Different personalities. Okay, well, I'll have you read. Read that.
By role, the initiating and instructing spiritual masters are equal and identical manifestations of Krishna, although they have different dealings.
Different dealings. Yeah. There's one guru named Srila Narahari Sarkar Thakur, whose name when we sing Gora Arti, you know, Narahari Adikori Chamaradulaya. Well, Narahari Sarkar, he wrote a nice book called Sri Krishna Bhajanamrita, in which he identified how he talked a lot about the guru-disciple relationship. And one thing he said is that one's initiating spiritual master is like a parent, and the instructors are like relatives. So, and he said this: a disciple may hear some instructions from another advanced Vaishnava, but after gaining that good instruction, he must bring it and present it to his own spiritual master. He should hear the same teachings gained from his own spiritual master with appropriate instructions. Because as you'll see, in the ideal, in a perfect world, which we don't have, but when the relationship is really close between guru and disciple, then the guru really knows the disciple and will know how what the disciple has perhaps heard from others applies in the disciple's own life. Otherwise it's easy to misconstrue things and twist things around our material desires. So in ISKCON's global family, initiating gurus are like parents and instructing gurus are like well-wishing relatives. Their prominence in our lives, though, depend on the relationships we develop with them. For example, in our own Gaudiya Vaishnava line, who can give us an example of someone who took initiation? This is a famous spiritual master, but then became closer to his Shiksha Guru. Amazing. Oh, wait a minute, you ladies? You know?
Bhaktivinoda Thakur?
Yes! Very good. Who was his initiating guru, do you know?
I don't remember.
Do you know the name? Bipin Bihari Goswami. Now, over time, the Thakur became closer to the person who you see in the disciplic succession list. Who's before him in the list? No, before. Jagannath Das Babaji. So he became closer to Jagannath Das Babaji on 2 points. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was convinced that the parampara is a shiksha parampara, a line of instructors and instructed. And you're going to see, me and machines. Is that backwards?
Backwards.
Yes. I'm a little challenged, Prabhu's. Okay. Better? Yeah. And Bipin Bihari Goswami, from what I've heard, was more fixed on the line being more one of a line of initiators and initiated. A bigger point, though, was that Bipin Bihari Goswami, he lived on the Navadvip side of the Ganga, and he was convinced that that's where Mahaprabhu appeared. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, from his research, became convinced that it was on the Mayapur side. So when he took his Shiksha Guru, Jagannath Das Babaji, to the spot, we hear that the Babaji just miraculously leaped out of his basket. He was literally a basket case. He was 120, he was old. And he just, in ecstasy, he just leaped up in the air. So he became closer to a Shiksha Guru. Shouldn't be a problem, really, because if all of our gurus, our Shiksha and Diksha gurus, are really our well-wishers, not politicians, they're our well-wishers, serving cooperatively in our founder Acharya's mission, then harmony prevails. I have godbrothers who initiate people, and they say at the initiation, so I'm your Diksha Guru, and Prabhupada's your founder Acharya, our founder Acharya, and I heartily encourage you to develop healthy Shiksha relationships with advanced Vaishnavas wherever you're living, because I'm not going to always be there for you, right? I'm not going to necessarily be where you are. So that Shiksha culture is really necessary that we develop that. Okay, so that's one way gurus differ. They differ in the roles they play in our lives. We look Shiksha, Diksha. How about qualification? Want to read? Give it to Maravina. Can you read? Can you see that? No. Yeah.
By qualification, a person who is liberated Acharya and Guru cannot commit any mistake. But there are persons who are less qualified or not liberated, but still can act as a Guru and Acharya by strictly following the disciplic succession.
Wow, as early as 1968, Prabhupada introducing non-liberated gurus. Wow. Now people might say, well, that's just a letter, Prabhu. Who knows what the person had written to him? Who knows what the context was? I only believe what I read in Prabhupada's books. Well, here it is, the same point in Prabhupada's books. Quote, this Krishna consciousness movement directly receives instructions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead via persons who are, and here's the same phrase, strictly following His instructions. Although a follower may not be a liberated person, if he follows the Supreme Liberated Personality of Godhead, his actions are naturally liberated from the contamination of the material nature. And then Prabhupada quotes this verse that if you have the Bhaktivedanta database, Prabhupada was recorded quoting this, what to speak of how many times he actually said it, over 200 times. Lord Chaitanya therefore says, by my order you may become a spiritual master. One can immediately become a spiritual master by having full faith in the transcendental words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and by following His instructions, strictly following. So then I make an observation. By the way, I forgot to mention that I ask you the questions now, and then you ask me the questions when we finish the slides. So if you have questions, make a mental note or a physical note. Liberated or non-liberated? This is my observation. A guru is genuine if he is strictly following the orders of Guru and Krishna. In this way, according to one's capacity, everyone can become a guru and please Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. And here's a quote from Prabhupada about how many gurus he wants in ISKCON. We have about, 80 or something? Under 100. Here's what Prabhupada wants. Quote, because people are in darkness, we require many millions of gurus to enlighten them. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is, he said, that every one of you, guru. And if you think, but I have no qualification, how can I become guru? There is no need of qualification. Still, I can become guru. Yes. How? Whomever you meet, you simply instruct what Krishna has said. That's all. You become guru. We're going to see Prabhupada say other things too about this. According to our capacity, we're supposed to not only receive shelter, as Devaki Mataji likes to say, but give shelter to others. We're supposed to help others. That's guru. Shiksha, Diksha. Another way gurus differ is by the commitment they make to us. Let's see. Who would like to read? Where's the mic? All right? Come on, raise your hand. You're all very humble. In America, we'll be fighting over the mic, you know. Are Swedish people humble? Yeah? Do they pretend to be? Shy, that's the word. Okay, Prabhu. You should read.
How is a guru different? By a commitment. The spiritual master first gives information about spiritual life is called Vartma Pradakshaka Guru. The spiritual master initiates according to the regulation of the Shastras is called Diksha Guru. And the spiritual master gives instruction for elevation is called Siksha Guru.
Notice the progression. Introducer, initiator, instructor. Because whatever the guru is doing, the guru is really always teaching. Even if the guru doesn't open his or her mouth, the guru is always teaching by example. In fact, some would say that's the only teaching. Some say that's the only teaching. Anyway, Prabhupada would say example is better than precept. Actions speak louder than words. So, like my legendary godbrother Vishnujan Maharaj, he was in Mayapur and he said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I would love to go down the Ganga in one of those little boats and chant Hare Krishna and put it to all these little hamlets and enliven the villagers. But I don't know their language. And Prabhupada laughed. He said, oh, they don't care what you say. They just want to see how you behave. Achar is more important than prachar. Example is better than precept. So it's really all about shiksha. In fact, right in the Gita, famous verse, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, right? Everyone knows that verse, 434. Inquire from him submissively, render service unto him. And then Krishna goes plural, the self-realized souls, plural, can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Now that's how Prabhupada translates it. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. But in the word for word, you know how Prabhupada translates upadekshanti? They will initiate. Prabhupada's conflating initiation and instruction. The essence of initiation is the transference of Krishna consciousness. Instruction. Okay. Let's keep moving here. Yeah. All genuine gurus are different manifestations of Krishna's mercy. There's Narada Muni playing the part of a guru. Srila Vyasadeva, a literary incarnation of Krishna, playing the part of the disciples. And, okay, run it back here, Manadi.
What did you say? You said something to me?
No, just hand the mic to that lady there, she can read the slide. Right there. No, you. How do you say you? No, this lady who's pointing. Come on, you're all so shy. It's beautiful. Can you see it?
I can see it, but
My Swedish is not so good. I cannot.
not Swedish, not English.
No? Where are you from?
Latvia.
Latvia, Riga, Riga and Rigan. All right, that's all right. Pass it on then, if you're a little too unconfident.
I first offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of my initiating spiritual master and all my instructing spiritual masters.
And here's what Prabhupada says in the purport. This is a little challenging to our status quo in ISKCON, which is good. I mean, status quos always need challenging because we always slide down to something less than progressive. Prabhupada writes in the purport to that verse, quote, "A devotee must have only one initiating spiritual master, because in the scriptures, acceptance of more than one is always forbidden." Do we do that in ISKCON? No, we have a reinitiation phenomenon. But Prabhupada says, acceptance of more than one is always forbidden. It gets more challenging. Listen to this. "There is no limit, however, to the number of instructing spiritual masters one may accept." And now here's the line that's really challenging. "Generally, a spiritual master who constantly instructs a disciple in spiritual science becomes his initiating spiritual master later on." Did we do that in this time? Yeah? No?
No.
Sometimes? In India, though, you don't know, that neck is really mystifying. The infinite neck. Well, who started that? Who started the practice of, flying in and flying out initiations? Who started that in this kind? Srila Prabhupada. Why did he do that?
No other choice.
He had no other choice. It was an emergency measure. Who did Prabhupada depend on to vet, examine, test the sincerity of prospective disciples? Who did he depend on? TPs, right. And if people would leave, especially if they left after second initiation, they get initiated and then the Prabhupada would be furious. Prabhupada had to delegate that responsibility of examining, it says in the Shastra, 6 months to a year, a prospective disciple, when the disciple is also supposed to be checking out the guru too. It goes both ways. So that's why Prabhupada said we need billions of gurus, because it should be very local. Our guru-disciple culture in ISKCON needs to become more local and sustainable. Observation, in this last sentence, Srila Prabhupada indicates the natural, normative guru-disciple relationship sustainable over time. That's kind of what happened in India for thousands of years, There's a village guru, and then people hear from the guru, and then they get Shraddha, right? And then if they're really serious, then they go to Bhajana Kriya, they take initiation and start practicing the disciplines of bhakti. That's why Prabhupada said, generally, a spiritual master who constantly instructs a disciple in spiritual science becomes his initiating spiritual master later on. So then I continue. To help our guru-disciple culture become more local and sustainable, we need to train and empower, Prabhupada said, millions of gurus worldwide to act as local spiritual masters, both initiating and instructing, as Srila Prabhupada has indicated. Now, one may wonder, is the categorical status of a Shiksha guru any less than that of a Diksha guru? Because we too tend to highlight the Diksha guru in ISKCON. But are they any different? in terms of status? Let's see what the Shastra says. All right.
One should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Krishna. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the super soul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord.
And Prabhupada comments in the purport, quote, Sri Krishna himself teaches us as the instructing spiritual master from within and without. From within he teaches as Paramatma, our constant companion. And from without he teaches from the Bhagavad Gita as the instructing spiritual master. And then Prabhupada says, there is no difference between the shelter-giving Supreme Lord and the initiating and instructing spiritual masters. And now Prabhupada, he raises the point to a warning of how Shiksha and Diksha gurus have equal status. If one foolishly discriminates between them, he commits an offense in the discharge of devotional service. For example, in 1999, His Holiness Shivaram Maharaj wrote a nice book called The Shiksha Guru. Is anybody in this comment? Yeah. It's a real good book. It's more relevant than ever. It's about, he was trying to help ISKCON develop our Shiksha culture. Because we really need this. It's not just all about the initiator, who's a crucial person, but we need to build up Shiksha culture too, to make everything more real and sustainable. Now, let's move on. Okay, let's see. Then, let's see. Yes, the transference of Krishna consciousness is the essence of initiation and instruction. So this is the most beautiful description of initiation I've ever read in Prabhupada's books, for me. And it happens while Krishna appears to Vasudeva and Devaki. So how about if Devaki Mataji reads this, so since you're the namesake.
Thereafter, accompanied by plenary expansions, the fully opulent Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all auspicious for the entire universe, was transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki.
Okay, this is the Hare Krishna Immaculate Conception. You know how they have this doctrine in the Roman Catholic Church, the virgin birth of Jesus. Okay, from Mary. So we have the same thing. It wasn't by seminal injection, it was by meditation. Transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki. Keep going, Mataji.
Devaki, having thus been initiated by Vasudeva,
There it is, look, that's the initiation. Go ahead.
became beautiful by carrying Lord Krishna, the original consciousness for everyone, the cause of all causes within the core of her heart, just as the east becomes beautiful by carrying the rising moon.
Isn't that exquisite? And Prabhupada comments, that's just the verse. Listen to this. Prabhupada says, quote, we should note carefully that the Lord was transferred to Devaki not by the ordinary way for a human being, but by Diksha, initiation. The word was right in the verse, Diksha. Thus, the importance of initiation is mentioned here. Unless one is initiated by the right person, who always carries within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot acquire the power to carry the Supreme Godhead within the core of one's own heart. In Lesson 4, we're going to hear Prabhupada say that as soon as he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and he heard him speak, he accepted him immediately. His allegiance to Gandhi, his allegiance flew from Gandhi to Saraswati Thakur in a blink, because there was a powerful transference of Krishna consciousness right there. Prabhupada said, not officially. I wasn't officially his disciple. It took him 11 years to get initiated. But in my heart. Okay. So not only are gurus one and different, how is the guru one? Anybody tell me? Raise your hand from what we remember that slide. How are all gurus one? because
They teach the same thing.
yeah, they teach what Krishna teaches. And how will they differ? They differ by
Qualification.
role, qualification,
Dealings.
commitment. Commitment. Who was Prabhupada's Dharma Pradarshana Guru? Besides his father.
His friend.
No, his friend Narendranath Bullik. My friend Narendranath, Prabhupada said, he dragged me. I didn't want to go. I met so many so-called gurus, sadhus in my father's house. They all were just faking. They'd light up bidis and smoke marijuana, and they were not really sadhus. So I didn't want to meet another so-called sadhu. But then Prabhupada met him. Whoa. Now, to the best of my knowledge, that was as far as Narendranath Bullock's commitment was to Prabhupada, just to introduce him to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. I don't think he joined the mission, but he was a kind of guru because he brought him in. And then someone can initiate us, but how does that relationship develop? It's all about relationship and how the relationships develop. Whoever we're really getting nourished by, in our case, in ISKCON, who's ever deepening, enriching, enhancing our relationship with our foundational spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, that's where the relationship is going to be thickest. Okay, so, let's see. Not only are gurus one and different, so is the guru and God. With empowered genius, Srila Prabhupada was able to introduce this spiritual truth even to raw recruits, even to newcomers. Let's see how Prabhupada did that. I love this picture of Prabhupada. Anybody know when it was taken and where? You've probably seen it, huh? That rain?
Yeah.
My God. I asked for it, yeah. Watch what you pray for, huh?
I just wanted clouds.
Is this where Prabhupada's looking back at the devotees in New York?
No. That's a good guess, though. Boy, that's a real good guess. Yeah, it's a similar look, though. Yeah, outside of San Francisco. That's a San Francisco picture. This is 1966. It's June. Prabhupada is still in the Bowery. He's still in the Bowery, Skid Row, the pits of New York. And somebody, the East Village Other, this guy, Howard Smith. No, the Village Voice, another counterculture newspaper. They hear there's a real live Swami on the Lower East Side, and they go to interview him. And this guy, Fred McDarrah, the photographer, he became a famous counterculture photographer. They went and they did a story on Prabhupada, and they were just amazed by Prabhupada. And the story is great. Anyway, I can't even come close to imitating the article, but they could sense that this holy man is about to launch a major religious, spiritual movement in the West. They could sense who Prabhupada was, even though they never met him. Prabhupada's looking very kind of, alone, vulnerable, but also determined. And next month, in July, when he finally moved to 26 2nd Avenue, by the end of the summer, Prabhupada was thinking that maybe these people are ready for initiation. That they were chanting Hare Krishna, we've heard the recordings. Prabhupada is leading them in the Hare Krishna mantra, and they're all trying to follow him in their own way, right? So on September 8th, on Janmashtami night, or Janmashtami day, Prabhupada said, so today is Krishna's birthday. And so we're going to hear all about Krishna's pastimes, and we're going to chant it on beads, and I'll tell you stories about Krishna, we're going to sing, and we're going to fast. All day, up to midnight. Whoa! And so the people couldn't believe it, and they were thinking, how can we do that? Probably, don't worry, we'll have all these variety of activities. And if you're going to faint, if you're going to faint or go to sleep, then there's a little fruit in my fridge you can take. if you have to, for some energy, but try to fast. So Prabhupada is leading them in all this variety of activities. And then toward as it's getting into evening time, Prabhupada makes an announcement. And this is how it reads in the Lilamrita, written by Satsvarupa Maharaj, who was there. Quote, on Janmashtami Day, 1966, Srila Prabhupada announced on the eve of the first initiations, quote, initiation means that the spiritual master accepts the student and agrees to take charge, and the student accepts the spiritual master and agrees to worship him as God. He paused. No one spoke. Because they've been hearing all summer, if the Guru says he's God, he's as good as dog, right? And so now he's saying this. You accept the spiritual master as God. And then Prabhupada said, any questions? And when there were none, he got up and walked out. Prabhupada did that deliberately. He deliberately dropped a bomb on their heads. I'm glad we have a microphone. Maybe we can turn it up. Okay. So Prabhupada, he got off the dais, it wasn't even a Vyasasana, it was just like that. And then he turned to his right, walked out of 26th Avenue, and walked behind the courtyard, and then he walked up to his apartment, number 2C. And he left them there. He just left them there. And so they're all looking at each other. Hey man, did you hear that, man? Swami dropped a bomb, man. I don't know if I can do this, initiation. They don't know what he's talking about, man. So one of the devotees wasn't there because his parents had tricked him into signing himself into a mental hospital, a famous hospital called Bellevue Hospital on the Lower East Side. Because this devotee was the first devotee to shave his head and wear a dhoti. So his parents thought he was completely nuts. So somehow they tricked him into signing himself in. And so one of the people who was there at 26th Avenue heard Swamiji say, he said the spiritual master is God. His name was Wally, and he decided to walk over to Bellevue Hospital and talk to Keith about this. Keith was in the hospital. So he said, hey Keith, this Swami just dropped the bomb. He said, tomorrow we're going to have something called initiation, and spiritual master, he really takes charge of the disciple, but then the disciple has to accept the spiritual master as God. What do you think of that? So Keith is pretty shrewd. So Keith says, well, we're already accepting everything he says as the absolute truth. We may as well accept him as God. What's the problem here? So Wally wasn't quite satisfied. So he walked back to the storefront and said to Howard, big large body Howard, big hair and big beard and a big voice, who had already said to Prabhupada, but he was an English professor, so after a few months of chanting, he said to Swamiji, Swamiji, I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 6 months, and I still haven't seen a universal form. So Prabhupada, part of Prabhupada's genius was he not only answered the content of questions, he would answer the intent behind it. Because he knew that his first followers they were chanting basically to get high. Stay high forever. That was the preaching. I still haven't seen the universal form. So he's really dismayed. So what does Prabhupada say? That's all right. You keep chanting. Keep chanting. Right? We call it crazy questions, perfect answers. Right? So
So Wally says to Howard, because he knew Howard didn't have any qualms about saying things to Swamiji, you know. Howard, will you please go up to Swamiji's apartment and ask him what he means? You have to accept him as God. You know? So Howard goes upstairs and says, does what you told us this morning mean we are supposed to accept the spiritual master to be God? And then Prabhupada says, that means he is due the same respect as God, being God's representative. Prabhupada replied calmly, then he is not God. No, Prabhupada said. So where's the mic? Okay, so why don't you read?
How did Srila... No. And God is God, the spiritual master is his representative, therefore he is as good as God because he can deliver God to the sincere disciple. Is that clear?
And it was clear. And so they went ahead and confidently took initiation. And that's how Prabhupada introduced the oneness and difference of Guru and God, and we sing it every morning when we sing Sakshat Hari Vena, right? He is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord because he's the most confidential servitor of the Lord. He's one with Krishna in desire and will. But he's not God. He's a pure devotee of God. Supreme personality of servitor Godhead. Okay, so by the end of the lesson, students will be able to identify different usages of the word guru, from popular to perfect. We should know why we need a guru. We should know how all gurus are one, and also how they're different. We should be able to explain how the essence of initiation and instruction is the transference of Krishna consciousness. And finally, we should be able to tell how Prabhupada introduced the oneness and difference of Guru and God. Good. And then tomorrow at 10:30, is it? 10:30. For the rest of the week, it's going to be 10:30. So, we're going to look at a special kind of Guru. Transition. All Vaishnava Guru-disciple relationships thrive under the shelter of the founder Acharya, the foundational spiritual master of a disciplic branch. In the next lesson, we'll examine the origin and development of the founder Acharya principle, with a focus on our Gaudiya Vaishnava line. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Now, if you have any questions or comments, and here's what you do. When you ask questions, you try to focus your questions on the points from the lesson, because our relationship with Prabhupada relates to everything, you know, that we think, feel, and will in Krishna consciousness. So the tendency is to want to ask anything about everything, you know. So please don't do that. Try to focus just on the points of the lesson. And also, don't wait till we've all bowed down and then ended it, and then come up to me. Don't do that. Don't say, you know, oh, Prabhu, I didn't want to say this in front of all the devotees, but I don't know what's going on here, but I assume you're all among friends here, so just, you know, just get it out. And if I can answer you, I will. And if I can't, I won't. So are there any questions about the spiritual master? This is an introductory lesson. Yes, I see Ramanath Sukha. About how Prabhupada gave us a brief overview of Guru Tattva in the very first chapter of CC. Yes, Ramanath Sukha.
Thank you very much, Suresvara. It's always so nice when you talk about these incredibly illuminating subject matter, Prabhupada, Guru, what it means in a relevant way to our society. So I wanted to focus my question on Diksha and Siksha as you're describing it, and it's like seems to be an ongoing process in ISKCON for clarification. What does this mean in a practical way? Because personally I've seen a lot of devotees who accept Diksha, but really want to minimize the Siksha relationships that are all around them and could potentially benefit them if they were to accept it. in so many ways. So how do we keep this process going for, I mean, you're part of it, I think, going around and speaking the way you do about Prabhupada's Sangacharya and all these issues come up, I'm sure, in question and answers also. But how maybe just more elaboration, how is ISKCON to actually get this point correct about the equality of Diksha and Siksha and how that works in a relevant way within our society?
Yeah. Well, and again, it's really all about Shiksha. That's why. It works, by the way, it works both ways too. When people hear that Prabhupada's the foundational Shiksha Guru of everybody in ISKCON, then sometimes they make that an excuse to take some distance from the Diksha Guru. Well, my Diksha Guru is not as important as Prabhupada. No. We need it all. We really need it all. Krishna is the Guru. He's the Guru in our hearts, and He's manifesting Himself in so many ways, in so many people. So we need Krishna, we have Him, and we need to listen to Him, internally and externally. We need Lord Brahma. He's the Adi Guru of our Sampradaya, the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And in fact, one verse Brahma said in 10.14.8, Prabhupada said she'd be the guide of our life. Tatein Pampam, the attitude of gratitude when the inevitable, painful things happen to us. So we need Brahma, we need previous acharyas, we need the founder acharya, who is a pivotal person. The founder acharya in any given disciplic line, he's the guru around whom all the other guru-disciple relationships turn. And we'll see this dramatically in the next lesson. For example, in the Ramanuja Sampradaya and the Madhva Sampradaya, they really get it. They really understand the foundational place of their founder acharyas. And that's why they're still going on. Next year is the millennial, not the centennial, the millennial of Ramanuja. Yeah. 1017 to 1137, lived 120 years. How are they still going on? Look what we've been through in 50 years. My God. So how are we going to last, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years? That's the golden age within Kali, the eddy against the current. So we really have to get it. Finally you said, how are we going to do this? Well, it really comes from...
I'm saying that this is the resistance to this Siksha Guru equalization to Diksha within ISKCON. There's a certain resistance I've noticed.
Well, it comes from understanding that the essence of the Guru is a teacher. The essence of the whole thing is instruction. And as I said, when it's specifically Krishna Kshetra Swami, when he initiates people, he told me, he says, I'm your initiating guru, Prabhupada's your founder acharya, and now I really encourage you to develop healthy Shiksha relationships with senior Vaishnavas where you are, because I'm not going to be there. How are you going to ask? You're going to ask them questions. If you want to advance, if you want to know, you don't want to stay in the dark. You don't want to stay distant. The guru is not a pet, or sometimes people take initiation. Have you had the disciples course here? Have you taken that? Have you had that here? No. It's really good because one thing they teach you is the right reasons for taking initiation and the wrong reasons. And one of them is, because my guru happens to be a superstar. So then you kind of like bask in that. Oh, I'm a so-and-so disciple. I'm a so-and-so, That's the wrong reason to take initiation. Of course the reason they're so famous is because they are amazing people. But is that going to work for you? Chances are the more famous the person is and the more disciples they have, the less maybe access you'll have to them. Is that going to work for you? Are you, is that okay? Or do you want to have some other kind of relationship? So it
depends. Anyway, it's really all about shiksha. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. The essence of initiation is shiksha. When Prabhupada challenged Srila Saraswati Thakur, well, who will hear our Chaitanya's message? We must become an independent nation, because he was following Gandhi. And then for the first time, he heard somebody who could give him an answer to that. No, Krishna consciousness is too important to await for change in politics. So many freedom movements, so many liberation movements. To this day, everybody's crying freedom, liberate, but there's no freedom as long as we're in the bodily concept of life. So it's all about shiksha. Whatever the guru is doing, if the guru is introducing us or initiating us, whatever, it's all about instruction. So Devaki Mataji has something to add.
Yes.
Okay, and we've only got 6 minutes to solve all the problems of ISKCON.
Yes, I just wanted to quickly comment about it, that I think the issue is that very often we are actually not that keen on instruction.
That's
we
right.
We want to maintain our independence.
Right.
And then just to have the big Diksha Guru is very convenient, because we never even hardly see him, he doesn't know what we're doing. And that is very convenient. We don't want to actually transform and give up things which are not favorable for spiritual practice. We don't want to, we hang on to them.
Yeah.
And then to receive shiksha from somebody who is right next to us, we don't like that.
That's right. That's why Prabhupada said Guru is not a fashion. It's not something, I have my Guru, and I want a photo moment. I'm going to tell you a story later. I'll just tell you the punchline now. Jamuna, the late great Jamuna Devi Dasi, said, and there's a context for this, but she said, Srila Prabhupada, how many times were you with your Guru Maharaj? Oh, maybe 5 or 6 times, but they were very intimate times. Saraswati Thakur was like to confide in his disciple, Abhai Charanaravinda. And he said, Guru Maharaj told me, Prabhupada told Jamuna, that those who always wanted to be with the Guru, physically, to bask in the fame of the Guru, Guru Maharaj told me they were like mosquitoes. Simply sucking blood. Yeah. So that was that. I hope I get a chance to tell this story, but it's the context. It's all about Vani and Bhakti. But that's another sort of side of it too. The Guru is not a fashion, and we don't want to be accountable. We've come to the material world to set ourselves up to control and enjoy. Yeah, and it doesn't work. You noticed? We never quite get it down, we never quite enjoy it. But it's a very intoxicating idea. The Chinese revolutionary Mao Zedong, his wife, said, I quoted this in class, didn't I? Yeah, most people are bewildered by sex because they've never tasted power. The ultimate intoxicant. Control, and because you can control, then you can really enjoy it. You can. Okay, so we can go on unlimitedly on these things. But we're time bound. But I am here all week, so we can have private talks. But we have a few minutes left. Yes, Janeshwar, Prabhu.
So, could you maybe explain a little more about this difference between Siksha Guru and just inspirational, and because what is going on in ISKCON now is not just because my Guru is in another country or something like that. I will listen to other senior devotees. If somebody is giving a nice class, I will also take instruction for that. So what are you speaking about Siksha Guru in a way that is more formalized? Yeah.
Well, it can be. It just depends. I mean, we can take Shiksha, as Chanakya Pandit said, from a dog, how to be obedient. And there's different levels of it, right? We should always be learning. What are the 4 words that block learning? I already know that. Right? Oh, really? Do I really know I'm not my body after 46 years? I wonder. So, yeah, we can take Shiksha anywhere if it's, and of course we always measure the Shiksha. Ultimately, the founder Acharya becomes the lens. Or maybe a better metaphor is testing stone. That word touchstone that we use? The original meaning of touchstone is a stone for testing the quality of gold. So you rub the gold on the stone and you see what kind of mark it makes to see the carat, the quality of it. So we're not living in a vacuum. We hear things and we want to test it against Prabhupada's incomparable Vani, his spoken word, his written word. But we have to know that Vani. We have to be absorbed in it, immersed in it, or we can easily be misled. So it can be, and the more we find people who really do deepen, enrich, and enhance our relationship with Srila Prabhupada, then, and we really feel confident about them, we're really getting an aspect of Prabhupada through them. They become transparent to Prabhupada for us. That's a Shiksha Guru. And so maybe we don't even, we're not near them, or maybe they've passed away. But if we find somebody like that who is local, then we can develop that kind of relationship and advance by following their advice. Yeah, otherwise how am I going to advance? How am I going to get out of the anchor of my material attachments? So it's all different, gradations of it, but it could be very, it could be distant, or it could be casual, or it could be serious. And we need that. We need that serious. Just like even after getting the order to go to the West and preach, you know what Prabhupada said really convinced him that he had to do this? He actually had to go to the West. He said he was reading a commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on Bhagavad Gita 2:41. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. And then Prabhupada said he was reading Vishwanath's commentary, and Vishwanath saying, this means that one must take the order of the spiritual master as one's life and soul. And somehow when Prabhupada read that, he realized, my God, I actually have to do this. I actually have to go to the West, or else there's no meaning to my life. At least one disciple got it. Because he was saying that to so many. So, yeah. Okay. It's 1:45. But we'll take one more question, because after this, we take prasadam, is that it? Okay. So we actually have till 2? Or no, people have to go to the restroom.
About the oneness of gurus, they say the same thing, they teach the same thing, but then the application or the practical application of those teachings can change the different gurus, or especially at the acharyas, they can, according to time, place, and circumstances, can instruct differently. My question is, because we also, as disciples, have to do the same. Take an instruction according to time, place, and so just to some degree, at least, we always do. But it seems to be difficult to determine actually how to do that and still be faithful to Srila Prabhupada's instructions.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
if you would like to.
Yeah, well there's a, what lesson is that? Oh, it's in the last lesson. We're going to come to that. How to faithfully, well, we visited in the 8th lesson too. Well, in the last lesson I visited as how to represent the parampara. You know, because on the one hand, Prabhupada would say things like, if I have any credit, it's that I have not changed anything, right? But he was forever adjusting details. So it's no small thing to know the difference between a changeless principle and adjustable detail. No small thing. In fact, most of our disagreements in ISKCON are about that. You know? So my favorite purport in that regard is First Canto, 4th chapter, 1st text, 141, the appearance of Sri Narada, and Prabhupada talks about how to represent the parampara, how to represent all over again according to the new time and place. So that's a big subject. But the more we really are immersed, again, you're going to hear me say this time and again, in our founder Acharya's life, teachings, mood, and mission, the more we really get to know him. And we get to know people who can really help us come closer to him. And then we get experience to know how to do that. And then, I mean, Prabhupada himself would try things. And then when they work out, he would continue it. And because he would say, he would quote the Bengali, Palena Parachiyate, you have to judge a thing by its result. And if it didn't work out, then he would stop it. I'll just give you one example and then we would better end. Has anybody read Swamiji by the late Ramananda Prabhu? Yeah? It's a great book. So one thing that Ramananda said was that in that day that Swamiji said, we're going to have initiation. So then they're all stringing beads from Tandy's bead shop around the corner. You know, they're not Tulsi.